We're going to do another league here, but let me make a couple changes. First of all, we had a couple matches where I'd preferred to have life gain lands, so I think we're going to swap those in. So put in Scoured Barrens over the Forlorn Flats, and I mean, so we lost to Azorius Bogles. We did take a game off of all of our losses, so, you know, they were close. Walls, that one was a bit of... I kept a hand game one that I just should not have. And then, was this the Terror, I think? Yeah. We should probably... I mean, we should have a good matchup against Terror, so it's unfortunate if we're losing that one. Walls, we should have a decent matchup against, too. But again, I kept a rough hand. Not sure if there's really any changes that I need to make here. Otherwise, I think we're probably good. Let's just go ahead and play another league. All right. Round one here. And pretty decent opening hand. We'll definitely keep this one against Jund or Grixis. Jund it is. Swing for one here. I started by playing an Ancient Den and an Inspector, because then this turn, if I want, I can play Scoured Barrens and another Inspector, which is basically the same as if I played Barrens first and then 2 Inspectors, except I get in for 1 damage. So there's a little bit of a reason to go this route. Now, if I want to play a 2-drop here, it might be a little worse because I play the Barrens now, or I didn't play the Barrens previously, but I think I can just play the Lembas later and play the Inspector. I'd like to get in for a little bit of damage before they land a Chrysalis if I can, so that's what we're going to do. I will say Double Tithing Blade is not great in this matchup, just because of the only creature that we really want to hit is Writhing Chrysalis. Hitting like a Refurb is okay. I guess that's not entirely true. Now that they're playing Gixian Infiltrator, that's also a good one to Tithing Blade away. So if they do just play one of those, I'll be happy to hit them with the Blade. They play a Wellspring and a Landscape. We get a Glint Hawk. It's a good draw. So I can go Lembas, Glint Hawk, and we'll keep a Skyfisher for sure. I would also probably just keep a land, because we don't really want to miss our land drop, but next turn I can play a Lembas to try to find it anyway, and then maybe also Skyfisher. They have a Refurb. I can get rid of that with a Tithing Blade or a Grimbauble, so I don't think I need 2 of these. Do I think the Gixian build is better? I feel like it's more popular because it's the new hotness for sure. Yeah, that's how I felt initially too, because I tried it out in one league and I didn't really care for it, and I assumed it was just a fad that was gonna die out. But not only has it stuck around for, I mean, it's only been, what, a couple months at this point. But I do kind of think it's been better, because the older version just didn't quite have enough threats. It kind of had the, I maybe should have just bobbled that away, but it's fine. I'll bobble this away. They're not going to want to sack stuff, but then we keep these around. The old Jund had the problem of running into, oh, they are going to sack. That's crazy to me. I mean, that's better. Like, I'd love for them to sack lands. I'm still going to play this Lembas, I think. For value, we don't need another land. Play Barrens. The old Jund Wildfire had the problem that Grixis Affinity often has, which is that it doesn't play enough threats. It only plays like 8 to 10, and then sometimes it doesn't find them, and it just dies. Because sometimes it gets the half of the deck where you're just draw spells. That's not very good. Now, the older Jund also played 2 Nyxborn Hydras, so it had a couple more win cons that way. I had some other things, but I think 12 win cons, and I count a Refurbished Familiar as a win con or as a threat. It is slow, but it can still get there if you are able to control the game or whatever. So I think having more threats is pretty good. So I do like the Gixian version personally. So my first league I didn't love it. Then I tried it again and I did like it better. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Same as Beckoner. Beckoner being the new hotness and not actually being worthwhile. Yeah, I think there's something to that. I could Suffocating Fumes away the spawn and then Tithing Blade the Chrysalis. I don't love that, but the Fumes doesn't have a lot of value otherwise. I think I'd rather wait to do that until maybe there's also a Refurb on board or something else. So let's just go for a Lembas here. I'll take another Skyfisher. Or maybe I'll just wait until next turn. If everything's the same, then I can at least get in for more damage. Yeah, I've been analyzing some of the data to try to figure out if Beckoner really is better than not Beckoner versions, and I haven't drawn any conclusions yet, but I do plan to have a video out within the next couple weeks talking about the differences between the two lists and the stats that we've seen with trophies and challenge wins and things like that. So that's something to look forward to. Yeah, I think it'll be pretty cool. So this is another idea I had, was if they play another Chrysalis, I can Suffocating Fumes away all the spawn, and then I can Tithing Blade one of them. Now they'll still have another Chrysalis. Ooh, okay. They're just going to sack some of them now to pick off a Glint Hawk. That's fine. They're going to swing Whoa, I know the client's a little rough, but that all wasn't necessary. All right, they swing for 4 here. Thraben Charm is pretty good. I probably just need to take out the munitions with that. Yeah, so I could... If I blow up the munitions and they just decide to sack these in response to deal damage to me, then I get to Tithing Blade. And if not, I get to play an Inspector and a Lembas, and the next turn I can still go for this plan. I think that's probably best. The Charm is going to be really hard to kill one of these Chrysalises anyway. Munitions could be pretty problematic at some point, so I think I'd like to just get rid of it. Play a Lembas. Spell Bomb is interesting. If they get a Blood Fountain, I kind of want to have it. I think we will not keep that for now, though. Play a Barons, and we got to pass. Well, I didn't necessarily consider this. I almost think the Fumes is better, because like Tithing Blade only eats a spawn, and is only ever going to eat a spawn, really? I guess we'll just get rid of that then, unless they just have a second one too, but that is unfortunate. Well, unless they just sack all of them right there. I mean, they still have a refurb, but I guess they're not playing it as safe as I thought they were going to. We could still draw another blade. Well, map onto the refurb makes it so I can't Fumes it now. That's kind of annoying. I guess I gotta block one of these. Here's a Lembas. Crossroads, we don't need that. Well, we gotta land anyway. Crack a Clue. They have a cast down on top, so I guess we got to hold these back. Yep, cast down one of these guys. Swing with the team. I'm going to block here and Fumes. If they're playing Galvanic Blast, we could die to that, but they did show us a cast down, and usually those aren't both played in Jund. And this is our best play, I think, because then if we get a Tithing Blade, we can actually start killing these guys potentially. Then, well, they have a Pulse of Marasa for the refurb, so maybe not. Get rid of the Vault, and another Lembas. Play that. Thraben Charm. Doesn't kill either of these. We have 4 cast downs that we haven't seen yet. Okay, I gotta get rid of that. Of course, we're gonna draw worse spells, or lands, rather. Worse cards. Glinthawk is something. Alright, I'm gonna Glinthawk. I could pick up a Lembas, but if I replay it, I can't actually crack a Lembas. Then I have to double chump, and I have to take 2, so I'm down to 1. Whereas if I just pick up a Bauble, I can pick this off. I still have to double chump, but it's better if we find a Tithing Blade, which is one of the cards we're looking for. And it lets me crack a Lembas or a Clue here. Probably a Clue, because a Lembas doesn't even save us. So if they do have a removal spell, we're just going to lose. Alright, here we go. And they have a Krark, which could be relevant if we find like a Thraben Inspector to chump, and they can just wipe it away. If we get nothing here, I'm going to crack the Bauble in the upkeep. This is a blocker, but again, this just throws a wrench in that. So I believe we need to Bauble. Finally a cast down, but if they do go for the Krark to wipe it, then it's not going to matter. But we have to hope that they don't do that. Then I can chump, cast down, and then maybe find more removal and survive. They're gonna spell bomb us. They are gonna attack first, okay? This gives us a chance. Cast this down, crack a Clue, Tithing Blade. Of course, now the Krark's in the way. Refurb, chumps. We can gain 9 life, go up to 11, so we don't even die from a hit. So I think we're gonna just pass here. And maybe if they don't have anything, they just swing with both, and I can trade these off. Survive with the Lembas and then Tithing Blade. Okay. Crack these, and maybe I should crack it now while I'm using the mana, but I think I want to save 1 artifact that's not a Tithing Blade for if I find a Glinthawk or something off the top. Cast down's also pretty good, but we can Tithing Blade here. Oof, they messed up a couple times here, and we get to flip a Tithing Blade. They shouldn't have attacked with that Krark. They should have used the Krark 2 turns ago with the Inspector to wipe our board, but they did not. We're still in a rough spot, but we now have a Tithing Blade to start gaining us some life. We have a cast down for their first threat. Now that we're gaining life, like, we don't have to cast down like a refurb or anything right away. So it's only another Chrysalis. Well, no, then again, I guess I can't cast down a refurb because they take it away. So that is annoying, but we're still not dead to it. 21 turns to go. Yep. So you're saying there's a chance. Viscerator's Insight's a very good draw. I want to keep these both around, so we're going to sack an Ancient Den. There's a Lembas. I mean, I'm notoriously stubborn for conceding ever. They Crypt Incursion us with 1 refurb in our graveyard. Sure. Does not exile our Eviscerator's Insight, which I think they thought it might. I honestly do want to bog them, because if they ever get a Blood Fountain, it's really bad. But if I bog now, I can't hold up the Insight. I think I'm going to keep the bog. I think with the life gain and everything here, the worst thing that could happen is they get a Blood Fountain. So I think we're going to keep that. Yeah, I'm very stubborn for not conceding, but we legitimately have a chance here. This is pretty good draws from them, but we still have an Insight. I am going to crack 1 Lembas here to give us a buffer, keep the other one around. That's what I've been trying to improve with Black-White, is the clock. Yeah, I mean, if this is what you're relying on, it is pretty rough. Okay, that's not a good draw, but we can sack a Vault, Skyfisher. I could pick up the Tithing Blade to make him lose a creature, but we don't have a creature in the grave to flip it back. Plus, we're not dead dead to this attack even if they kill the Skyfisher, so I think we're just going to Lembas again, try to find something. Glinthawk's pretty good. We'll pass. Blade time. Yeah, I think there's some merit to picking up the blade and using it, but I could now, since I do have a way to flip it again. We go down to 1. We're back up to 2. Crossroads keeps us alive. Probably will have a creature. They got to kill Skyfisher. Yeah, so now we probably will, but I didn't want to take that chance. Now I Glinthawk, pick this up, replay, flip it again, and I Crossroads. Yeah, that seems good. Kill one of those guys. Flip Tithing again. And the Crossroads means even if they find a removal, we're still not dead here. Thought about the removal on the Fisher. I also thought about the removal on the Fisher. If we were dead, if we didn't kill there, like if we were at 4 instead of 5, I probably would have gone for it. But as is, I'm still pretty satisfied with the play that I made. Infiltrator is a problem. We're definitely going to trade off here, which means if we find another creature to blade, that would work. If anything, the Glinthawk decks are best at not dying in these situations. Very true. Very good at delaying the inevitable and maybe eventually winning, but map onto the Infiltrator, Pulsa Marasa on top. That is annoying. We definitely got to block though, and I mean, we could just die if we just don't draw something here. Or we could top deck the best card. We're gonna blade them again. They do have a Pulsa Marasa to get it back, but it'll be slow, and we get to flip again with the Glinthawk. This is making the Omen of the Dead in our deck bad. Like that's not a very good draw. I mean, they still have to kill the Skyfisher, so maybe it's not terrible, but they do pulse back the Refurb. Not as big of a threat as the Gixian, and we had a Plains to discard, so I'm not unhappy with that. Okay, now we get a Plains. Obviously, we're just holding back, but we are stable. They use Fountains and Marasa to, right, so hard to know exactly what to do. Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of good draws. I'm pretty happy with keeping that Bog forever ago, so they can't get back Chrysalises, but they have more creatures that they can certainly get back if they do draw a Blood Fountain or the Pulse that they used. Refurb is decent for us, but they have a card to discard. It's just a land. Can shuffle with like Lembas. I'm not sure if there's a reason to shuffle unless we know there's like good stuff on the bottom. They do find a Blood Fountain. There's a Refurb and a Gixian in there, so that's pretty bad, especially because we already used our Suffocating Fumes. Probably want Lembas in the deck to draw it. Yeah, I guess at this point it's probably better to do that. I think before, like if I had gotten a Skyfisher, although I've gone through 3 Glinthawks, all 4 Skyfishers. No, all 4 Glinthawks. We don't have a single bouncer left. So yeah, I guess it's probably better to just have the Lembas in the deck. I kind of think we're going to lose to this now, although I guess we've only seen 2 cast downs. Here's an Insight. We're going to draw some cards. Lembas and an Inspector. We're going to play Lembas. So I was thinking it's good to draw. Yeah, good draw for sure. Sure. Play another one. Refurb's good. Draw a card. Although we're drawing more than them, I guess if it's... Oh, that's a really good draw. Grimbauble, because they can only sacrifice... They don't even have a way to use the blood, so they can't sacrifice anything. So I can Grimbauble away the big Infiltrator here. That's a great draw. Because my concern was how do I pick these guys off? But that worked. Now, do I start attacking? I want 2 blockers for these, but I want to block this. If they don't have a great way to grow it, I think I'll start swinging with like one of these guys. Want a 3rd Lembas off the Refurb. I'm definitely happier with the Grimbauble over the other Lembas that we don't need at the moment. Lembas is such a good card. Card selection, draw, life gain. Yeah, it is very good. They find a cast down, but they don't have any way to grow the Infiltrator here. So if they attack with it, I can just trade, and they don't for that reason. I could crack the Bauble, but I have plenty of ways to draw. Okiba Gang Shinobi is kind of cool. Obviously, they have no cards in hand, but it's just another creature to get on board. There's no way they block both of these, and if they do, I'm happy about it. So let's just swing with both. They take it, so I will pick up the Refurb, hit them for 4. They don't have anything to discard. We replay this, we draw a card. Omen of the Dead with a Skyfisher in the graveyard. Ooh, 1 mana off being able to use this Grimbauble this turn, but I'm going to play it and pick up the Bauble anyway. If they can't grow the Infiltrator here, which they could with the Blood Token no matter what, but if they don't have another way to grow it, then I can Bauble it away. They find a Fanatical Offering though, so that's not going to work. We can still Bauble away the Refurb, so it's not the end of the world. They have another Chrysalis, that's not great. So now Infiltrator's enormous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways to grow it maybe. Alright, so once again we're looking for cast down, of which we have 2 left. Or Charm. We've used... Yeah, we have 1 Charm left in our main deck, because this is game 1, I believe. But Charm's only going to deal 8 damage. Maybe less, because I might have to chump here, in which case it's not going to kill the Infiltrator. They have a cast down for the Skyfisher. Yeah, so Infiltrator is 7, 8, 9. So I could trade with the Refurb, but I take 9, go to 3 here. But I have a Grim Bauble for the Refurb, so I don't really need to do that. So I think we do chump. I have a Lembas, or I have a Clue token and an Eviscerator, so I don't think I need to scry here. Basilica's not amazing. Let's crack a Clue. Another Lembas. I might want to just Grim Bauble and use Eviscerator's Insight this turn, which gains us 5. They've used just 1 Blood Fountain, I think. Yeah, so I think picking up the Bajuka Bog is worthwhile here, because they probably have a second. Grim Bauble and hold up Insight. Of course, we might mill out. If we go for an Insight, we might mill out before them. Although we have Lembuses to shuffle back. Like, we've gone through most of our win cons, unfortunately. But I could also sack the Omen if I wanted to scry. Well, Krark is gonna kill us, because they can wipe both of these, which means these are going to be 12 damage. I can go up to 17. If they sack enough artifacts, they can kill us here. That was a pretty good draw from them. Let's see if they sack enough, though. They just go for 2. That's only 14 damage. Technically, we're still alive, or 15 with the Twisted Landscape. But, I mean, we still have 2 cast downs, and technically we're not dead yet. So, let's crack these Lembuses. They sack the Landscape. Yeah, definitely we're going to scry or surveil. We don't have a single way to bounce this Omen, though. And we'd rather not mill, so yeah, I guess scrying is probably better. There's a cast down. Cast this down. We have a Lembas in hand, which means we're already going to survive. Or I could just flip these and then I draw the Lembas first. That probably makes a little more sense. I guess it doesn't matter if I just play this Lembas. All right, so Lembas, cast down. I'm going to use it now because I want to Bajuka Bog them. Technically, I think they have 1 more Chrysalis, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, if they find another Chrysalis, they can deal me 6, and I'm only up to 6. So that could be lethal. Cleansing Wildfire. I mean, we might as well just do this and let them do what they're going to do, because I don't have any other play. They failed to find a basic. They find an Infiltrator. That's not lethal this turn, but that's another guy. Oh boy. We have Eviscerator's Insight in the grave in a Lembas here, so I don't think I'm going to surveil. I mean, that blocks. We're going to play a Lembas. Refurb is decent too. This game's crazy. It's not a guy, is it? Yeah, actually it looks like it might be a woman. I just meant a blocker, that's all. Land, we don't need that. These block. Alright, well, we have blockers. Can we actually kill them, even if we survive here? Not sure. They are milling out before we are. They can only attack with the Chrysalis, which we're going to chump. Definitely go to decking. Yeah, it feels like it. So I probably should just not draw more cards. Well, the problem is I can't chump here indefinitely. We're going to sack a Lembas here, but there's another Lembas. I guess we might as well sack it in response here. Gain more life in case we can find it again. We don't need a land, so we have a Vault of Whispers, Thraben Charm. Could kill the Infiltrator, and I could attack. I don't think that's quite worthwhile. We are more than 2 cards ahead of them, so I can draw a card here. So let's do that. In case that becomes relevant. It's another Lembas. I guess we'll keep a Lembas. All right. I feel like attacking might not be worth it, but it also feels like we have the life to survive now. Like, if they try to grow the Infiltrator, I can Thraben Charm it down. I do think it's very possible it'll come to decking, but I also think it's possible, like, that's 6 more turns for them if they don't draw any more cards. There's another Chrysalis. I only have 4 damage on this Chrysalis. That does grow this Infiltrator, though. If they try to sack, I could shoot the Chrysalis before it can get big enough, the other one, but I think we just go for the one that's attacking now. Gixian doesn't look better than Hydra here. That is very true. In this game, it does not look better. To be fair, when I say I like Gixian better, I still like 1 Hydra in the deck. I like 3 Gixian, 1 Hydra. I think we just take this. There's a cast down. Here's a Lembas. Sack a Lembas. Sure. So this isn't going to be able to kill us, so I think we just kill the one that can block here. And we actually do go on the offensive, because with all the insane life gain we have, we can actually make it so that they might have to sit back. Don't need a vault. We'll take a Barons, sure. There's a Blood Fountain. That's not what we wanted. I knew the Blood Fountain was going to come back to bite us. I could have saved the Thraben Charm for it, but then one of these creatures wouldn't even be dead, so that's not going to work. Yeah, that might be the death of us. I mean, it's not going to kill us here. They get us for 8 damage, but I don't know if we can survive that. So good, but we have faith. Plus Lembas. I mean, I think I will crack 2 Lembas in our upkeep. I think that's right. Of course, We have a Vault of Whispers, 3 Lembas in our deck. I don't know what else we have. I mean, I guess we're supposed to just keep the Lembas. That's the whole point of putting them back in. Sure. Block, taking 7. I guess we can probably... There's another one. We'll put this one on the bottom, because if we get a land... Oh, we have a Spell Bomb. If we got a land, we could hold up a Lembas or something. Once your library is gone, you can just loop Lembases and gain like 9 life a turn. You cannot prevent yourself from milling with the Lembas, because by playing them, you force yourself to draw a card. Yeah, the bomb was way too late, unfortunately. Yeah, you cast a Lembas, you force yourself to draw a card, and then you replace that card in there. So you can't, prevent yourself from milling out. Otherwise, they would be actually broken. However, they're cracking their spell bomb. Draw a card. They want to draw a card, right? They don't draw the card. All right. I mean, it's possible. They only have 1 card left, so we only have to survive for 2 more turns. Block here. Take 9. Yeah, they're drawing cards, which I'm confused about, because we're just gonna... I mean, we're gonna crack all these Lembases in our upkeep, because we only have to survive 1 more turn now, and we're at 12, which if they have nothing else, we draw a Vault. So we're actually gonna crack... We're going to draw a card, because we're not going to mill out first here. We have a Lembas. Sure, keep a Lembas on top, but we're going to keep this one to crack. We have a chump block. We go up to 15. So they have to find, if they have a removal spell as their last card or something like that, then they can win. But if not, we're going to be good here. Oh, so we'll not go to decking. Well, that game is going to go to decking. The match might go to time. This was game 1, turn 28. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, they made a bit of a misplay. They were going for the damage, but they just drew just 1 extra card, I think, than they should have there. But 1 extra turn, if we would have gone to 3, 6 because of the Lembas, we maybe could have survived 1 more turn, but we wouldn't have had another blocker. Actually, I don't think we could have. I think we could have won, would have lost after that. All right. What a game. We get Dust to Dust, Raven Charm, and Duress, maybe. Fumes... The power of Lembas. I prefer Esper, Boris, Mardu. Still, the closing ability of Orzhov is very bad. Yeah, what do you mean? We won there on turn 28, on minute like 44 or something. Yes, I agree with that. That's the problem with the inspectors, is they do not close out the game very nicely. I mean, having a Tithing Blade to keep us alive there was pretty good, although I don't think we're going to be able to have a game that long again. And in general, Tithing Blade's not bad against the Gixians, but it's just not very good against everything else. Bauble is okay. Okiba Gang feels kind of rough too. They have a decent amount of removal. They have a lot of blockers. Obviously, when we got it, it was just not relevant, but even earlier, it's not the best thing ever. Part of me wants to cut a Grim Bauble. It's decent against a Gixian, like right at the beginning. Cleric for munitions. It's only really good for that, and we already have 4th Raven Charms, so I think we probably won't. Like, it can also exile a card from a graveyard, but I think the 4th Raven Charms already has munitions covered, probably. And a couple Inspectors, maybe? I don't really want to cut card draw, removal. Yeah, I think we'll do this. If we didn't have any other ways to blow up a munitions, I would definitely bring it in, but I think we're covered as is. This hand's pretty decent. We can maybe snipe a Wildfire before they can even use it. Ooh, another Duress. We are also going to try to play pretty quickly. There is a Wildfire. Oh, they also don't have black mana, now that that's gone. Nice. Oh, well, never mind. Thoughtseize bug. Lucky them. It's simply not fair. We'll keep a Skyfisher. Well, they get their turn 3 Chrysalis. Oh, they go for an Infiltrator instead. Well, we know they have a Chrysalis. And another Wildfire. How dare they? I could go for another Duress here. Yeah, I kind of like that. They have 3 unknown cards. Chances are I should hit something. Fanatical, we'll get that. They have an Oof. That's pretty annoying. I mean, there's legitimately some merit to like picking up a Vault of Whispers so they can't oof away our black land, but I think Lembas will hopefully be able to find us one in place of it. And then they just go for our Ancient Den and we're set back a lot, so I don't really like that. There's the Chrysalis, and there's the Oof. We're going to take it for now. Lembas. Maybe I should have just Skyfishered. I think I got to keep any land, honestly, unfortunately. Maybe I should have just Skyfishered and then played an Inspector, because then we have a lot of blockers. Currently, unless they draw well, the Infiltrator can't actually grow any bigger. Already Christmas for them or what? Yeah, they're drawing pretty well, I will say. They had a pretty good opening hand, except it didn't have black mana. I was able to Duress the Wildfire, and they instantly drew 2 more. I can't kill either of these, so I'm just going to take it. And then double Oof is pretty brutal. I'm obviously glad I kept the Plains. And another Infiltrator. Yeah, I guess after the last game, someone's looking out for them. Just play for time. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely just trying to survive a little bit here, play as quickly as possible. They attack with everything. I'm just gonna... I guess I should block here, but they probably have a way to grow it, but that's fine. No, they don't. All right. And then they have a breath weapon. Okay. And another creature. Oh my gosh. So even if I Skyfisher to block this, I'm just gonna die. Well, yeah, I guess I should be that person to just make him use a couple extra seconds. Yeah, they did draw pretty much perfectly, I will say. Cast down off the top in case they didn't have everything they needed already. All right, well, as long as that doesn't happen again, I feel like we might have a shot. I would love an early dust to dust to cut them off bridges and stuff. That was a crazy game. 1 land. This one's not good enough, I don't think. 2 lands, better. Oh, get rid of this. Thraben Charm, I guess. I mean, Charm is pretty decent. It could have been the Inspector, but then I don't have anything to pick up with a Skyfisher or to play on turn 2. Could have been the Glinthawk, but definitely happy I kept the Inspector. Cast down off the top, yeah, sure, why not? It actually hurt me just to watch Imagine playing. It didn't feel very good, I will have to admit that. But then again, that's just another day playing the greatest format on Earth. I think I really wanted to rest them here because they're missing lands. I don't want them to be able to do this, Fanatical Offering. So we will take that away. So they can play a Refurb. I will discard, I guess, the Inspector, because ideally the Glinthawk will get us more value. Not yet, though. Crack a Clue. Inspector again. Basilica to pick up the Crossroads. I swear if there were Planeswalkers, there'd be one in... Yeah, there's a cast down. Omen of the Dead's pretty good off the top. So let's just do that. Pick up the Skyfisher, replay that, pick up the Omen, Crossroads. I don't really want a Glinthawk for a token, especially when they have a breath weapon right here. There's a Chrysalis. That's pretty annoying. Spell Bomb. Crack a Clue, and I'll play a Spell Bomb, and I guess I'll Glinthawk the Spell Bomb. Well, I shouldn't have done that, probably. We didn't get any value off of it, and the fact they have a breath weapon means that there's not really any way I can go aggro anyway. They duress us, take the Omen, which we knew about. They attack with the Chrysalis. That seems to tell me they have another one? No, we know they're 2 cards, right? I guess they're just going aggro because they're going to breath weapon here. Sure. So they're faster than we are here. Okay, they play a Blood Fountain. Another Glinthawk. So I guess we're just going to Glinthawk the Spell Bomb twice and then crack it. I guess I don't even have to crack it. All they have is a Refurb. I don't have a reason to draw a card here. And if I find a cast down for this, I'd like to have a way to keep it off. Keep it away from coming back. They get a Troublemaker Oof. Okay, we only have 1 target, so we're gonna crack it in response. But obviously they want to get rid of it, and they also get to use their Wellspring this way. We get a land. That's not very good. Come on, cast down. Or Thraben Charm. If they attack, that's crazy to me. I feel like I can't do anything if they don't attack there, and we're winning the race. I guess they have 6 damage on us as well, but we're ahead a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they're just panicking because they are very low on cards. Or time. They top deck a Chrysalis. That was a wild attack. However, because they got this Chrysalis, it's going to work out for them. Unless we get a removal spell. They have a cast down. This one's not as wild as game 2, but they're still drawing just so much better than we are. Thraben Charm, but now it's too late because we don't have the creatures. So, yep. And I have to chump. Yeah, their top decks are just way better. Map onto the Oof. Draw 2. Map onto the Oof again. Pulse of Marasa. So, chump here. Deal 4 damage to this guy. We get a 4. And now we get a Dust to Dust. You think they can't kill us in 142, maybe? I mean, that first game was very fun. Very interesting. But that game 2 was just absolutely ridiculous. And that game 3 was pretty frustrating too. But I guess that's how it goes sometimes. Classic Jund Wildfire match. True. Ugh, we're on the play. This hand's got a lot of good cards. I guess we'll keep it, but we really need a Lembas or them to be playing, get a Tithing Blade and they're playing a creature deck or something. Fun only if they lose. I had fun. I just think the first game was very even and we barely managed to eke it out, whereas the other games felt very lopsided in a not as enjoyable way. I think I'm just going to play a Skyfisher so that we have access to our Thraben Charm against an Elves deck. Fortunately, we don't have any artifacts for the Refurb. How do you not take a break after that? I mean, if I were not streaming, I might take a break, but I don't know. It's a lot less enjoyable for people to watch if I'm just sitting there moping. So, but also it's just Magic. That's how it goes. I've been playing this game for a long time, and that happens pretty often, more than I'd like, but it's just the reality of the game. Something you have to accept. It can be frustrating for sure, but there's a lot of variance, and I know that. That was a good draw. We get to play Inspector and Refurb here. Just gotta tough it out. Exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with if you need to take a break after a game like that. And again, if I wasn't streaming, maybe I would get up and walk around a little bit, rethink my life, but as is, might as well just jump into another game. Looks like they have a Hydra off the top. I guess we need a Thraben Charm. Another one, but there's only one more in the deck. Cast down would be decent, but not the best. Vault of Whispers. Ooh, I can make them discard 2 cards. Oh, I was going to attack with the Refurb, but they can untap this and it has reach, so that's not very smart. So I was going to play this to draw with the Refurb, but they can still do that to discard a forest and not let me draw, so that's also not great. Well, we'll do it again. We do get our draw, but now I can't actually cast a Thraben Charm if I get it, or a cast down, so I'm gonna have to chump block with a bunch of guys this turn. It's 11 damage, so we need to block 3 of it. If I just block like that, every creature becomes lethal, because I'll be at 1. I think that's fine though. They play a forest, untap. We find our Thraben Charm. Okay, so we have a chance. Again, everything's lethal, but they're gonna attack with this. So I need to have 4 blockers. So let's refurb their forest and 4 blockers. So I guess I can't. I was going to attack again, but I can't do that. I could do it if I wanted to blow up the Nyxborn now, but I'd rather they throw away their Birchlaw Rangers in the attack, so I'm not going to. I will also say, just going back real quick, that first game of that Junt match, that is why I don't give up, even if it looks really dire, is because occasionally first of all, a lot of the decks I play have the ability to come back, but occasionally you can get it right, or your opponent makes a mistake, and you can end up winning a game that looks impossible to win. And so that's a reason to not give up too early. And they just have a forest, so I actually have them on a 2-turn clock. Now, I can't necessarily attack with everything because I'm dead to 1 of any of these, and Okiba is way too expensive to do anything. I'm going to play an Inspector, but that means I can crack a Clue here, which means maybe if I get another 1-drop, Skyfisher actually counts as a 1-drop. So I can Skyfisher, pick up an Ancient Den, replay it, play the Inspector, and now I can attack for 8, and then 8 again next turn, and that's lethal. I guess I might as well play it a little more conservatively and do 6, because then I still have 10 next turn. And if there's any way they get like a haste guy, which obviously probably not going to happen, but they could have another Nyxborn Hydra, which I probably would be dead to anyway. But there's no reason I needed to attack with all 4. I might as well just attack with those. Timberwatch Elf is not going to do it, and we have 10 damage in the air. So we won that game, despite the fact that it looked very bad for us, because we were able to top deck our second Thraben Charm. Thraben Charms come in. Obviously, Dawnbringer does too, because Nyxborn Hydra is important enough I really need to kill it. In that situation, if I had drawn the Dawnbringer, it still would have saved me, even if it wouldn't have been quite as flashy. And we Suffocating Fumes and Arms of Hadar, of course. Okiba Gang Shinobi is not for this one. Spellbomb, same. The Omen Loop, not really necessary. And I think I'd rather creatures to chump like Generous Sense and stuff than Insights, maybe? Just because the game... I mean, I guess Insight draws us to our board wipes, so maybe it would be better to just cut a couple Inspectors. Tithing Blades aren't amazing in this matchup, but they're not terrible. And if I can like Fumes away most everything and then Tithing the last creature, it's pretty decent. All right, we have a turn 2 Tithing Blade, which is a little slow on the draw, into a Skyfisher. We can't even Tithing Blade again until the next turn. This kind of just does not look like it does enough, so I think we're gonna mulligan it. Obviously this is worse. I just need like at least 1 single targeted removal spell. Oof, double planes here. I feel like those are our only planes in the deck, although we have Ancient Dens as well. I'm gonna keep this one. We're low enough that we're kind of going to be in a bad spot no matter what. If we can get a black source, then Grim Bauble twice can make a very big impact on this game. If we don't, we probably lose, but that's kind of the case if we just draw, and if we get a bad 4 too. Inspector's a good draw, because if we get nothing else, I can at least crack a Clue next turn. Play a Sentinel, another Birchlaw, Ancient Den. Alright, no reason to play that. I mean, I guess there is, because I could build up for a refurb, but I'd rather not have it get like Masked Vandaled down. Let's just play that and crack the Clue here. There's a Ranger. Winding Way. 2 cards, not terrible. Timberwatch is pretty good. All right, we really need a black source now for the Timberwatch. Otherwise, things get pretty bad. And there's a Llanowar Elves. Crack a Clue. Skyfisher. Thraben Charm. Okay, that'll kill the Timberwatch. I'm going to play that. I could also Glinthawk, pick up the Ancient Den. I don't think that does enough for me right now. And if I do get the black source for the Bauble, then I'd rather have the ability to keep using it. There's a Priest. All right, again, a Bauble would be really, really good here. Okay, Limbus. That's not a bad draw. Excuse me. I don't need another Skyfisher. That's not a black source. All right, we're going to Glinthawk the Limbus here. I'm just hoping that they don't have anything to use the Priest of Titanium mana on. That's the goal. But they instantly tap for 10, 11. If it's another Hydra, then we have to get another Thraben Charm or we're going to die again. We do have more sources for it this time. Oh, actually, we might just be dead already because of the Quirion tap. It's going to be plus 18, so 19. So, yeah, it's pretty much death either way. But we're going to chump. We got an Ancient Den, so if I get the Thraben Charm, I could still play it. We pretty much just died to their go-wide strategy, though. Dawnbringer Cleric. I mean, I didn't do the math. I'm pretty sure we still die here. This blows this up, but we have only 2 blockers, 3 life. So if they just swing all out, we're gonna die. Oh, did they just have another Nyxborn Hydra? They did. So once again, we barely got game 1 because because we got a little lucky, admittedly, and then they just double Nyxborn Hydra. Brutal. No shot. Oh, I wish. We're getting thwomped here. All right. We also mulliganed to 5. You know, we were looking for better hands. That hand was not great, but I think it was fine to keep on 5. I mean, I'd rather one with a board wipe or something, but we at least have a Thraben Charm to use. We have some ways to draw to stuff. This Basilica is going to be pretty awkward. I'm doing what I can. Untapped land would be great. Cast down's not bad. I could Glint Hawk back this Clue token for aggro. I don't think that's necessary. Let's just pick this up. There's a Quirion Ranger. So that's 3 mana from the Fyndhorn Elves and the Forest. There's a Llanowar, Sentinel, another Sentinel. Bojuka Bog. I don't think I'm going to use removal on any of these guys, so let's just go for a Lembas. Vault of Whispers we don't really need. Grim Bobble's pretty good. I didn't leave up black mana for it, so we just got a Bog. But next turn I can Bauble, Skyfisher, Bauble again. Plus we have Cast Down a Thraben Charm, so if nothing terrible happens this turn, cross our fingers, then we might be okay. But even if they play like Priest, Timberwatch Elf, I can have removal spells for them. Winding Way, they hit double Priest and a Hydra. Scary stuff. Play a Priest. Also just a Suffocating Fumes off the top would be pretty good. And a Timberwatch Elf. Tithing Blade. Alright, I'm just going to pick these 2 off with Grim Bauble. Let's make sure to tap right for this. Skyfisher. Pick up the Bauble. Replay it. Pick off the Priest. Alright, things are going okay. We still have Glint Hawk Bauble, and then a Cast Down or a Thraben Charm. So you can only do Nyxborn Hydra for like 6 right now. Sentinel. Arms of Adar would also just probably win us the game. Suffocating would be good, but they'd still have 3 Sentinels around, so it's not quite as good. Another Quirion Ranger. They bestow the Nyxborn Hydra onto the Priest, just to keep it alive through a Bauble. That's kind of funny. So I can't double Bauble it. I could just cast it down, or I could single Bauble it and Thraben Charm the Nyxborn Hydra. I assume if they're doing this, they probably have another Lead the Stampede or another Hydra, because they're really desperately trying to keep their mana around, and we know they have a Forest in hand. So I think I just Thraben Charm, blow up the Nyxborn, Grim Bauble the Priest. Since they're so desperate to keep it around, I think that's more incentive to kill it. Pick it off, and I'll attack with the Skyfisher. They can't untap because they have no forests, so get in for a couple damage. I mean, this one's looking good, but if we don't ever find a board wipe, they're probably eventually going to be able to outpace our removal, especially with more Lead the Stampedes and stuff, which is what I'm expecting. Or maybe just the other Hydra that I also thought they might have. Yep, there it is. 5/6. They're going to attack. Scoured Barrens. So it's a 5/6, so I could just block with 2 Skyfishers and a Hawk. So if I'm going to play this, I might as well Grim Bauble down a Ranger. Or I could just Tithing Blade, because it doesn't really matter that much to me what dies here, and I'd rather have the single targeted removal for later. I think that makes more sense. Plus, it's more mana efficient. Play a Barrens and pass. There's the Timberwatch Elf that we're going to Grim Bauble down. They don't attack. We get another Glint Hawk. So I'm going to Grim Bauble, and I'm going to pick it back up and save it for the next scariest thing they're going to play. Except for the board wipes, Suffocating Fumes and the like, Grim Bauble is by far the best card in the Elves matchup. Bauble's working extra hours, yep. Yeah, this Bauble is incredible here. It's got a quota to meet, so really wants to make sure it gets there. Do they have like a Deglammer or something to take the Bauble away? They're so sick of it. That'd be really funny. They have a Heritage Reclamation, but they're destroying the Tithing Blade. Interesting. That's fine. Clearly, I didn't like the Tithing Blade as well as I liked this, so we'll just hold up our Cast Down and stuff. Now they're going to attack 5/6, so it can get any 2 of these guys, but that's fine. Or not any 2, they can't get both Skyfishers, but a Skyfisher and a Hawk or 2 Hawks. Crack a Clue, we get a Refurb. Dawnbringer Cleric's a nice draw, because that just blows up the Nyxborn Hydra. And I don't want to use the Grim Bauble, so I'm just going to play a 2-mana Refurb here. And they've lost 2 Sentinels, so they only have 1, which means I can actually start attacking with our Flyers, which is kind of nice. They do bounce their last Forest, potentially. to discard it, which might mean the Quirion Rangers are just not useful at this point. They wouldn't have done that if their other card in hand was a forest, so clearly it's something else that they want to save. There's another Ranger, but those don't really do much. Imagine if we get an Arms of Hadar, we can just finish the game with them having no permanents on board. Won't that be something? Here's an Inspector, crack a clue, play a Barons, attack with the Flyers, and pass the turn. They have an Armadillo Cloak. That's hilarious. Don't forget, Esper Sentinel has reach. It can kill the refurb. Oh, yeah. No, I know. I don't care if they want to block there. It eats one of their elves, and I still have about the same clock. And if it's holding it back, then it's about the same anyway. So yeah, I don't mind that trade. This is hilarious, though. I get to trade an Inspector for this, so there's no reason to waste a cast down. They gain a little bit of life, but I don't care too much about that. And they're going to pass. We get a Skyfisher. We can attack with everybody now. All right, and we win the match. That was a pretty fun last game. We had pretty much all the answers, which helps. But to be fair, if we ever don't have one answer, then Elves just steamrolls you. So kind of had to make it interesting. All right, this hand looks good enough and actually pretty good against red. We have a lot of life gain, a lot of way to stall early creatures. Unfortunately, not a single untapped white source, so I can't play the Inspector. So I'll just start with the Barons. Ooh, Flame Breather is annoying. Kiba Gang Shinobi. We're going to play an Inspector, and I could Grim Bauble the Epicure, but I think this will probably block the Epicure pretty nicely. I mean, they might bolt it. That's fine. This might be Madness Burn, in which case having a Bauble for a Gutter Snipe is pretty good and important. So I'll just play a Crossroads, gain some more life. Also, if we ever Okiba them, that'd be really funny. They have a Fiery Temper. I guess they probably just take this out because they only lose 1 damage on it. Yeah, by attacking. And they might save more damage later. Refurb is not bad. I knew I should have played the Scoured Barons last turn because that would allow me to bauble, refurb, and then still play a tap land, whereas now I have to play a Vault of Whispers. I could Lembas here and then refurb, but if they just ping it off with like a Lava Dart, I'm still taking more from the Epic here. So I think it's probably worth it to bauble, even though now I'm not saving this for a Gutter Snipe, but I guess I don't have to play the refurb here. I could still just Lembas. This isn't going to block. I get to make them discard a card when they're tapped out, but it's actually probably better to just Lembas here. I guess I'll keep a cast down. By playing the refurb, I could Okiba them next turn if that is something I actually want to do, which it's not a terrible plan, but it's not the best either. We cast a Highway Robbery for a Snacker, of course. So let's play a refurb, Inspector, and we can cast down. I should have cast this down first, because if they had a Fiery Temper there, then I would not want them to get the extra damage. And I'm going to kill this anyway. Obviously, it'd be nice to save this for a Gutter Snipe, but I don't know if there's a Gutter Snipe coming, and even just a Flame Breather is pretty dangerous. Also this, I guess, is another reason. They can pick that off and get the damage for it. Another Flame Breather. Swing for 2. Highway Robbery. Gets back another Snacker. Ugh. 3 cards in hand. I bet I could attack and have them not block, and then I could Okiba them. They go down to 1 card in hand. They're hitting me for 5. I'm tapping out a Lembas. It's probably not worth it. I think we go for a Lembas here and hope to find another cast down for the Flame Breather. I guess Refurb blocks and takes a card from their hand, so that's not terrible. We'll keep that. Although I guess it doesn't block very well with a Lava Dart in the graveyard, so maybe that wasn't worthwhile after all. They discard a mountain, we'll gain another life and pass. They cast just another Lava Dart. Swing for 4, they have 2 darts in the grave, so 1 Lightning Bolt kills us here, or a Fire Blast or something. They're doing the math. Fiery Temper does it too. 2 Lava Darts is 4 more damage. Yeah, so if we hadn't tapped out of the Lembas and held that up instead of the refurb, we would have survived. They were almost out of cards there, so we could have turned the corner, so that definitely was a bit of a mistake, I think. Okay, here Tithing Blade's not very good. Insight's slow. Omen's not great. Okiba's not good. Fumes hits Epicures and Snackers. It's not amazing. If there's anything else I want to bring in. Oh, I do want to bring in a Dawnbringer. It gains us life, or it could exile a specific card from a graveyard. And more Thraben Charms isn't probably bad to exile the graveyard, so I think I like that over a Fumes and maybe 1 Inspector. Oh, we're still at 61. Another Inspector, maybe? I do like Grim Bauble. It's not the best thing ever, but again, it does take care of a Gutter Snipe. Can pick off a Snacker. Yeah, we'll do that. We have the Compass, so seems decent. Play Scoured Barons. I mean, this hand already represents 13 life gained, potentially, so that's pretty good. Faithless Looting. Well, every time I see a turn 1 Faithless Looting, I usually want to Graveyard Hate right away. No Snackers, that was pretty nice. Another Barons. I could go for a Compass. Yeah, I think that's fine. And I guess I Glint Hawk to pick it back up. Part of me wants to play the tap land, but I'm probably going to pick this up at least once with these guys. Maybe I'll save the other one for the Limbus. But if we're gaining this much life, I would like to apply some pressure to them, since we're going to be surviving, ideally. Okay, Duress is not bad. My other thought was I could play Limbus to try to find a removal spell, so when they land a Flame Breather, I can actually kill it right away. I did not end up doing that, obviously, but let's Duress, Fire Blast, and a Highway Robber. They don't have that many cards left, and the Fire Blast I'm less scared of. I'm just scared of card advantage, and when they don't have it, we'll be okay. Let's go for a Limbus. Inspector is fine. Sure. I think we have the time, and Inspector is something we can play on the ground to make sure we don't take damage off the Flame Breather or the Epicure while still attacking with our guys. Top deck another Flame Breather, that's pretty good. Inspector also slows us down a little bit, but it doesn't stop us from drawing cards because obviously it draws a card, so eventually it'll be as if we scratch to the bottom. Play an Inspector. I believe, did they reveal 2 mountains when we dress them? Reveals Voldaren, Epicure, Mountain. Yeah, so their hand is just Mountain Fire Blast. We're at 22 life still, so I think I'm going to Skyfisher the Limbus, trying to find removal rather than going for the life gain off the compass. Play the Barons, swing for 2. They found a Grab the Prize, discarding a Mountain. So we take 2 off the Flame Breathers, but not the Grab the Prize. Play a Mountain, the Fire Blast and 1 unknown. They discard another Mountain. Things are looking pretty good for us, I think. There's a land. Let's play our Limbus. Don't need another land. Cast down is nice. So I'm just going to cast one of these down. Attack first in case they have a bolt that they want to then use on a Skyfisher. I'll actually sequence this properly this time. Or a Lava Dart, which they flashback from the graveyard. Obviously that doesn't kill one of these, so it doesn't really matter when we did it. Replay the Compass, back up to 21. Flashback Faithless Looting. They discard the Fire Blast and a Fiery Temper, and they go after the Skyfisher. I think that's the correct play. I think going after us, they just leave themselves to dying in 3 turns, which isn't great for them. Limbus off the top's great. I'm going to a Pauper 1K this weekend with Esper Affinity. I have a list that I've had a lot of practice with. However, I just found a copy of Raven's Crime in my bulk. Do you think it's worth jamming even if I'm not practiced with? I think it really depends on... I don't think I need another Compass. It really depends on what you think the meta is going to look like. Raven's Crime is incredible against a lot of combo decks. Like, it can single-handedly win you the game against High Tide, of course, but also a lot of Tron decks, like especially Flickertron, which keeps a lot of cards in hand. Tireless Tribe is one that comes to mind because that needs cards in hand. It's really good against a lot of control decks too, though, like Cawgates or Fairies or anything like that. Even like some of the tempo decks, like it's pretty decent against Mono Blue Fairies or like Terror and stuff like that. But it's obviously not good against the red decks, the burn decks. White Weenie, not great against. It's not great against a lot. Like, it's okay against mid-range decks, but I was experimenting keeping it in like post-sideboard against Jund and Grixis, and I found that doesn't work super well. So if you think the meta is going to be heavily combo, then I think it might be worth putting in. It's not a card you need to be super experienced with, but the things that you need to watch out for are, if you do end up playing with it, it warps your mana base a lot, because you want to have as many black pips as possible in every situation. So even if you haven't seen the Raven's Crime yet, you want to start the game by thinking, okay, I want to lead on black bridges. I want to play black bridges whenever I can. And because if you top deck it, you're not only going to want to have as much black mana as possible, but you're going to end up discarding the other lands. And so if you end up discarding black sources, then it makes it harder to work. So yeah, it's not that hard to get practiced with, I would say, if you just know a little bit of the ins and outs, but certainly it's going to be something you're not as familiar with, so it might not be as worth playing. And then, yeah, if you think the meta is not going to be super combo-y, it might not be as worth it, or if you just have no idea if the meta could be whatever, then maybe it's not worth it either. I think people always say, and I agree with, you can take a suboptimal deck. I'm not even saying not playing Raven's Crime is suboptimal, although I do like it. But you can take a suboptimal deck to a tournament as long as you are know the ins and outs of your deck. Then you have a very good chance to do well with it. So so don't put it in there if it's going to make you less comfortable with the deck, I would say. Those are not great draws from us, to be honest. With them getting another Flame Breather, we have a Duress. Well, I'll attack with the Glint Hawk, and I guess I'll go for a Duress. Maybe they're holding something. Searing Blaze, that's a pretty good one to take. They have a Snacker in hand. They currently can't do anything with. Is there a threshold of how many lands you should have in play before you start discarding? There is, but it's a little... they top deck a Grab the Prize, which is incredible for them. It kind of depends on the deck. Like, if I would say the minimum, most times you don't want to start Raven's... If you are in a Jund, Grixis, control matchup where it's all about cards and lands on the field, you don't want to start Ravens criming them usually until you have at least minimum 5, maybe 7 lands on the battlefield. It really depends, and that's like 7 lands. But if you're playing a really grindy matchup, you could easily get there. But if you're against, it's also not bad against decks like Bogles, because they play out cards quickly, so it's not great there. I'm not saying to bring it, like keep it in after the sideboard necessarily, but if in game 1, if you have it, in a game like Bogles or Infect or something like that, the only thing you care about is making sure you don't die, and taking away all their cards is a good way to do that. And so I might start using a Raven's Crime against an opponent like that on turn 3. Like if I have 3 black lands on the field and I have 2 lands and a Raven's Crime in hand and they have 3 cards, against Bogles, against Kiln Fiend, if you're still alive there, like anything like that, which these decks are not necessarily super popular, but they're not like you'll never see them either. Hands like that, I would start discarding like on turn 3 if you can. If you can take away all of their cards or most of their cards. But against any mid-range or control deck where it's a lot more about card advantage and lands on board, I would not do it until quite a bit later. I think that comes down to more the current board state and the matchup. Yes, certainly. That's the succinct way of putting it. We're in a not bad spot, but they do have 3 Kessig Flame Breathers on board. I don't think they have anything in the graveyard that's relevant, so it's just 1 card in hand. They go for a Searing Blaze on the refurb. We take 3. Did they play a land this turn? I guess we're going to find out. They did not. Okay. I was about to crack the Lembas, but now they're out of cards, and now I don't have another artifact to draw, to get if I get a bouncer, so I'm going to keep it. Hello, Strata. You think Tordex is a dead deck in this meta? I would say by the very virtue of it just not being a deck that anyone plays, it's a dead deck. I can't say I've played it or am experienced enough with it to know if it could do well in the meta. I think it's been a dead deck for a while, so it's possible that just no one has tried to bring it up again and tried to play it, and maybe it could be better than people give it credit for. I can't say I've ever played a Tordex deck, so I don't really know. But I think that the graveyard hate is extremely prevalent. Okay. They don't have any cards in hand, but 5 damage from every spell. So a Lava Dart off the top kills us. Draw spell kills us, pretty much. Kibira Crossroads is not really good enough. So yeah, I'm thinking the Graveyard Hate is everywhere, even in the main decks. Thraben Charm, since it was printed, enchantment removal is in main decks. So it's, probably dead here. So just the Tortured Existence can die pretty easily itself. So those things make me think it's probably not great, but not 100% sure. Got a cool list, and I will start testing IRL. Yeah, go for it. I think if you're talking IRL, I think you can make most anything work. You obviously still have to play good cards and stuff like that, but like the main shop that I go to, I would say half the players, probably half the time, play a deck that is a brew or is not a list they took offline. Took from online, and that's including like my Esper Affinity and my Black Sack, but we have a an Abzan Pestilence deck player. We have a Bant Gates deck that with Tethmost High Priest that's really cool. There's a lot of brews. We have a Black-Red Reanimator deck that comes up a lot. Somehow we didn't die here. So yeah, if you're playing IRL, I think it's a lot different from MTGO because people aren't as experienced. They don't play every single day, like all this stuff, that I think you could definitely have a shot at playing a deck that's a little bit not as optimized. And so yeah, I say try it out and get some pointers from other people playing with you, and hopefully you'll be able to make a sweet deck. Thanks for the insight. Yeah, no problem. Hopefully that will be helpful. They have the Lava Dart. They were just holding it. I mean, even the Lembas doesn't keep us alive here, so we're just... I thought this one was going really well, and then we just drew a million lands, and they drew all of their guys, so a bit of a bummer. I gotta run to the restroom, but we will finish out the last 2 matches after that, so give me 1 second. Alright, here we are for round 4, and this hand's decent. We're against Mono White Heroic. Well, this hand doesn't have any removal for the Heroic matchup. We do have a lot of chump blockers, so that's something, I guess. Sentinel's Eyes. They only have 1 land. Is pretty good. I'm going to play another Inspector so we can get our clues going to make this refurb as cheap as possible. There's a solid footing. Now it's a 2/6. Well, it's a 2/6 that deals 6 damage. I'll start chumping while I can, and I'll play a Skyfisher, pick up the Inspector, replay it. This means next turn I can double refurb with a Skyfisher. Ethereal Armor. If we can kill this one creature, we'll probably just win. And it does not have flying, so let's attack with the Skyfisher as well. Discard an Ethereal Armor and a Crow and Skyguard. Spirit Link. Okay. I'm going to chump with the Skyfisher. If they find a way to give it protection from a color, I'd like to have 2 creatures of different colors. Jukabog doesn't matter too much. Let's sack a clue. Lembas. Looking for a Tithing Blade. Glint Hawk. Well, that'll let me trigger the Lembas. Let's do that. And the race doesn't matter too much, but again, I probably only need 1 creature of each color for now. Armadillo does make it so that we can't, just a single Tithing Blade won't work. Grim Bauble is not great. Not what we need. Glint Hawk. Although I might just keep the Glint Hawk in hand now, because if I find a Tithing Blade, I'm going to need to reuse it. So let's crack a clue here. There's the Tithing Blade. So I'm going to play a Swamp. I'm not going to Tithing Blade here, because all it does is kill this, and if they then play another creature, it's rough. But they don't know that we have the Tithing Blade, so they might actually try to suit up this other one or something. Yeah. So this is 16 damage. I think I just take it because I want to have as fast of a clock back on them as I can. Ooh, Okiba Gang Shinobi's pretty cool too. We're obviously not going to be doing that this turn because we're going to just double Tithing them. All right, and we win that game. Just had to find the Tithing Blade. We get Thraben Charms, Clerics, Duresses. Would have been cool to Okiba them, but that's not what we need. Omen can be an infinite loop as long as they don't get protection. Creatures are all good. Insights are a little slow. Fumes probably not going to be great. Let's do that. Ooh, I think we got to keep this hand. It's got a Duress to slow them a little bit, and if we find another land, it's just incredible. It's a bit risky, but if you can't keep a hand that needs 1 land, then what are you doing? Also, if they do have any way to blow up artifacts, it's kind of rough, but ideally Duress can stop that if they do. All right, they have 1 Akron Skyguard, they have Ethereal Armor, Cartouche, and Sentinel's Eyes. So we'll just take the Ethereal Armor, so that if I do not get a land for a while, I'll take less damage than if they had that. Play Plains and the Skyguard, come on. Well, I guess I can play another Duress. Not quite what I was wanting. We're going to take the Cartouche this time, because that makes an extra creature, makes the Tithing Blade worse. They Sentinel's Eyes, play the Armadillo, and the Bridge. 1 card in hand, no protection here, so an untapped land just lets us cast it down. Oh boy, come on. I cannot believe I'm going to lose this one that I kept based on hubris. Well, not exactly hubris, but Wonder Weave Aerialist. Alright. And they go for a solid footing on the Armadillo. Makes sense. It's 1 extra damage. Well, unfortunately, we lost. Probably. There's a Spirit Link, that's fine. We're taking 7 here, though. There's the land, just a little too late. We'll cast this down, so we're taking 3. But they have to not draw a pump spell and not a land, because this can pump if they draw a land. Oh, right, the Sentinel's Eyes can go on this, and that gives lethal. Alright, so we were dead regardless. I should have done that in combat then. I wanted to do it then so that they didn't have a way to give it protection, but if I had done it in combat, then they couldn't have Sentinel's Eyes there, so if they had drawn a dud like a creature, it might have been okay. Alright, I guess don't keep a hand like that. I don't know why, but yo, I was Elves, you dumpstered. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for the games. I got really lucky in that game 1, finding my Thraben Charms. And then game 2, you destroyed me. And then game 3, Grim Bauble just shreds through Elves if I have enough ways to bounce it. But it was a good match, I think. Feel that I meant to lose versus this Grim Bauble deck. Yeah, I mean, the Grim Bauble is there for, Elves is one of the 3 main decks that I play it for. Elves, Mono Blue, Fairies, and Red Rally. It's good against White Weenie too, but that doesn't come up as much recently. So something went wrong with MTGO. It just kind of crashed, and apparently it was on my end because that counted as a loss, even though we hadn't actually played the 3rd game. So unfortunately, we had to stop the stream, and now I'm playing this game later, and we're in match 5 with a 2-2 record, trying to get our last win. This hand looks okay, so we're going to give it a try. Start with the Scoured Barrens. Opponent mulligans to 5. Playing a Drossforge Bridge. We have a Thraben Inspector. This refurb looking pretty expensive. I mean, it'll be cheaper once we play the Inspectors. I guess if we get an untapped land here, I could play Inspector and the refurb. We're against Grixis. They're playing a Cryogen Relic. Vault of Whispers is actually real nice because we get to play the refurb and the Glint Hawk. So attack for 1. Refurb to make him discard a card. If I wanted to go really aggro, I could Glint Hawk, pick up a land here, but they already mulliganed twice. I think taking 2 cards with the refurb is just going to be really strong, so don't think we're going to waste that value. And another refurb to boot. Looks like they're probably going to crack this Cryogen just to draw a card and keep Glint Hawk taps down. It is a little mana inefficient to play both refurbs here, but I am going to do it for both the pressure and the ability to make them just pressure their hand as well. They do have a Reckoner's Bargain. Okay, so gain a little bit of life, couple cards. They discard a Spell Bomb, followed by a Blood Fountain. They have a refurb of their own, so we lose a Cast Down and a Wellspring. We get a Glint Hawk. If I could cast down Glint Hawk and refurb again in the same turn, I probably would. But since I can, I think I'm just going to attack with everything and then Glint Hawk refurb them. They block, take 6. Again, a little mana inefficient, but I think just the best way to do this, because they're really struggling here. Even if they get a Krark that doesn't kill the flyers, they only have 1 black mana, and we've already seen 1 refurb. They could have a couple Galvanic Blasts, but it just seems like they're in a kind of a tough spot here. They do get the Krark, Blood Fountain, so they'll probably wipe away the 2 Inspectors with Wellspring and Blood Token. Thraben Charm is kind of nice for the graveyard here. They are going to sack those 2 and end up taking 6. I'm just going to leave these up because if their game plan ends up being crack the Blood Fountain, play a refurb to survive, then we can just exile their graveyard in response. They Thoughtcast. They have an Enforcer. Okay. Enforcer with a Reckoner's Bargain would keep them alive, so I'm going to assume that's what they're going to do, and I'm not going to use a removal spell on it. We'll just crack a Clue. Swing for 6. They could also just have like a Galvanic Blast, in which case we can kill the Enforcer. That is what they're doing. Okay, so put them to 1 here, and I'll just play the Inspector then. It's a lethal attacker. This way I hold up Thraben Charm. If I went for the cast down, then I'd also have to Thraben Charm, which is possible that's the right call, because if they do get a Reckoner's Bargain here, we're not in a great spot. I mean, we're in a great spot. I don't know why I said that, but we're in a, we don't kill them this turn, is my point, whereas I could have made it so that they wouldn't have a way to do that, but I wouldn't have been able to play the Inspector. I don't know. I like this way a little bit better. It's just a little worse if they have another bargain. They're just going to pass the turn. I'll crack a Clue here. If they want to crack the Blood Fountain, that's fine. They can't actually play them this right now. We get a Cast Down. They have 1 card. I think the only card that saves them here would be a Reckoner's Bargain, or like a Breath Weapon in their main deck, but I'm not expecting that. So like I could cast this down, but again, I'm not expecting them to be able to survive unless that's what they're using, in which case they're already going to sack it for us. So let's just attack in. They do block Toxin Analysis. Okay, fair enough. That would keep them alive, but we're going to cast it down in response. I did think after I attacked, there probably wasn't any reason to attack with the Inspector, because even if they had a bargain, they would block. If they had something like this, it's actually good for them, but of course, with the removal, it doesn't make a difference. We get Duresses, and of course, not cast downs, Dust to Dusts. Kiba doesn't seem very good. Baubles and Blades are kind of lackluster here. Fume's not great. We replace a lot of our repeatable removal like this with just Dust to Dust and Hand Attack. Thraben Charm is also pretty good because their graveyard matters so much that maybe we cut a couple Inspectors for those. This hand's decent. We'll give it a try. Turn 2, we can Inspector and Duress. So we'll play that and pass. They got a Wellspring, Refurb. So this is an artifact, assuming it doesn't get blown up. We'll play an artifact from an Inspector. The next turn we play another one and we can refurb. So we have the Duress followed by a couple refurbs in a row. Ooh, and Thoughtcast with Gearseeker Serpents is all they have left. That seems like a pretty slow start for them, but I like it for us. And Ancient Den actually lets us double refurb them right now. So attack for 1, play the Inspector, refurb again. They discard a bridge. I'm expecting 1 Serpent to go. Yup. And then next turn I can Skyfisher, refurb. They could play a Serpent here. And they do play it for 3 mana. We get to attack for 4 flying, Skyfisher, a refurb, 6 damage in the air, and then we get to Bojuka Bog after they discard a card, which is Samir Enforcer. Get rid of all that, pass the turn to them. They play a land and have another Enforcer. They swing for 5. Yeah, that's kind of their only play. We'll take it. Ooh, Glint Hawk, swing. Play this, pick up a refurb. They're out of cards, so we'll draw 1. Crossroads, and then I can hold up a Clue token. Now they have to leave both of these back or have removal or life gain. Otherwise, we just have lethal around their 1 guy. All right. We're able to take that match down pretty easily. So we're able to get a 3-2 with the deck. I like Orzhov still quite a bit. I do think that it just lacks some of the things that Esper does, which is that Esper has better threats because we have not just the Glint Hawks and the Skyfishers and the refurbs, but the Mirror Enforcers as opposed to Inspectors. Just closes out the game a lot quicker, and we have better card draw. But of course we have better mana in this one because we only have to care about 2 colors, and we can have more untapped lands, and we have better life gain with Lembuses and things like that. So there's definitely a trade-off, but I generally prefer the Esper version better. In any case, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.